or different experience abroad in which I can learn research about and do the things according in which I also need to financially stable as well. So within not have the IELTS test because IELTS is the International English Language Test score, which is required for the getting the admission for masters or PhD across the world. So the thing is, I then chose within Asia because within Asia it's not that restricted that you have mandatory IELTS to give the test or something to get the admission. So I targeted some of the universities or the countries, and the process wasn't easy. So the thing is that I got admission in China and Japan. Why I'm telling you the story? Because it's also like you can see the only one, the broad aspect, but there are also the struggles that also need to be know that how you stay motivated and consistent in order to get or achieve something. So I would like to suggest that when I just got admitted in Japan, the world was fully like very fantasized as well as we everybody see in our social media and the reels. And nowadays you see the Tokyo and the Osaka, the major cities of the Japan. There are pros and cons in every country. But for getting the fully funded scholarships, especially for the developing or the third world countries like us, it is very necessary, I think, for our youth and for our young generation to get the education free of cost in which they can do on their own, they can learn, and they can make us proud. For the Japan, I chose Japan. One of the most important thing is because of their research, very technological advanced they are, and also about their education, especially for the when I'm talking about the research. Japan is particularly attractive for the student interested in the field of like material science, nanotechnology, engineering, robotics, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, biomedical sciences, chemistry, physics, environmental science, energy, manufacturing, and semiconductor research. So because they have very advanced laboratories and research infrastructures, and they have very strong research culture as well, and they do have international collaborations. For the education, I must say that they have very high quality universities and the research oriented graduate programs. They have the opportunity to work closely with the supervisor, which will or to whom you work under your master or the PhD or bachelor studies. And one of the most important thing is the English taught programs are available in almost every university, which is actually benefit for us as well because we don't need to rely or uh, like to get the Japanese language course before getting our admission. Or during, if you want to study, we can, but that's the other part of the story. For the life, I would like to talk about that the Japan, that the third perspective is the safety. It's very safe. And also where the infrastructure, the healthcare system, they are very civilized people, I must say. And you have a lot of career opportunities for the Japanese company, not only Japanese company, international company, which are actually held in Japan. Academic research you can do the research and development, and also technology industry as well. Actually, Japan, I must say that Japan is a fantasy place to study, but it is not effortless. There must be, or there are still some challenges. Like as we know that in Asia, one of the biggest hurdle we face is the language barrier, which I face so far as well, like the Japanese language. But I think that it can also be overcome if we, with the passage of time, we learn a basic language which would be easy for us to actually survive or for our daily life conversations. And also, as we know that we all are in that era of inflation, so it's not only affecting Pakistan, it's affecting across the globe. So then I would like to go for the MEXT. that what is actually MEXT. So the MEXT is actually, it's a Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology of Japan. It is actually the Japanese government scholarship, which is particularly for the international students. And there are almost, I think, every university which have the MEXT quota and the number of seats every year for the intake of bachelor's, master's, and PhD plus research students. So research students, if I'm talking about the research students, then they are particularly two kind of. One is for master and one is for PhD, which is like doctoral. And we also have the undergraduate, but I think that now I am talking to the audience who are already doing bachelor's in their studies, right? So it could be much beneficial for them if I only talk about in master and PhD one. So if for going on further, I would like to, there are actually two big MEXT routes. That routes you can easily get the admission. One is actually the embassy track, and the second is the university track. First, I'm going to tell you about the difference between these two tracks, and then I will tell you about on which track I got pursued and how the process actually went. So embassy recommendation, it's actually started, if I'm talking about for the Pakistani students. So it's actually the instruction issued by the Embassy of Japan in Pakistan, or if there are any consulate officers or authorities in Pakistan, like in some other countries, in some other cities other than the main cities. So we've actually submitted our application. Then our documents can be screened. After the document screening, we have the written examination mostly. And then after passing the examination, we have interview. Then they actually, after getting selected, then it depends on the candidate that which university he wants to go to pursue his master or PhD. So for that, you actually, or the candidate will search the university or contact the professor. And then because they are already funded by the Japanese government via embassy, they do not need or concern about any funding problem. So once they got selected by the supervisor of a particular university XYZ, then the final MEXT selection, and then you are welcome to Japan. For the university recommendation, before that, I have seen there are many videos on the YouTube since 2000, maybe 20 or 21. But I must say that in order to get all the fully information for the embassy recommendation of MEXT Scholarship, there are every year somehow things are changing, like the rules or the requirements or the general requirements. So I must say that do not totally rely on that YouTube videos. Every year you can check the MEXT guideline as well on their official website. And for the university recommendation, actually I am on the university recommendation. So what you have, sorry.
Sir, if you have any slides, so please share your screen. So apart from that, it's okay.
Okay, my bad. I actually haven't prepared any slide for this. So it's like a sort of a brief introduction about all this thing, but I can make sure that I can answer each and every possible questions of yours and the rest of the members.
Okay, okay, sorry. Okay.
So shall I continue?
Yes, please continue. And participants, if you have any questions, please keep them for the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So for the university recommendation, what you have to do instead of initially applying through the embassy, you can apply through a Japanese university. You can simply search on the Google like Japanese University MEXT, or just write down the QS ranking of 2026. Then you have all the ranking list of the universities of Japan. Then you can choose the, like what I did, I chose two different university from the top ranking, two to three different university from the middle ranking, and two to three different universities of the low ranking. And then after selecting the university, that is the broader list of the university now you have, then you have to go to the department of your interest. Like in my case, I went to the Department of Material Science. And then after getting to the Department of Material Science, there are actually the faculty members. These faculty members are actually known as your supervisor or prospective supervisors, to whom you will do your master's or PhD, who will actually supervise you during your degree. So the university recommend candidates to the MEXT. So after getting selected by the supervisor, you need to contact him or her via email. And later on, I will tell you that how to write the email and what you have to write down and what are the like merits and demerits for a formal email to send to a Japanese supervisor. So the exact procedure, deadline, and programs availability vary by the university, but the MEXT requirements is general for almost all of the universities in Japan. And this is very important for the student as well, because students who already know the research field, their university and professor, they have to reach the professor. So far we have two tracks. One is embassy track, one is university track. Embassy track, it is actually, I also heard, and it is said that embassy track is a bit complicated and difficult compared to the university track, because for embassy track you have to apply via embassy, then embassy conducts screening, then you have the written examination, then there might be chances that you might be passed, then you might be failed, then after passing the exam, then country specific procedures and the university, and then Japan. But in terms of university recommendation, you apply directly to the university in which the supervisor is present of your research. You send the email, university selection process you gone through. They also have examination, like in my case when I actually gave. So I had an interview of almost 30 minutes, in which I have to make the presentation of what I have done so far or about my prospective research proposal for my master program. And then university selection process, once you passes the university screening and selection process, then university recommend you to the government scholarship, and then you come to the Japan. So neither route is universally better, but the right route depends on your academic level. I must say that you can apply both, but if you have chance, then you can consider university track, as I think it is more simpler compared to the embassy one. But and every year, I think for the MEXT, for example, if some supervisor accepted you, then it's not like other country, then you can apply different multiple supervisor, because MEXT in Japan, for one candidate, only one application can be processed. In my time, when I applied to different universities, I actually got admitted two of the university. One is the Tohoku University, one of the region in Japan, and the other is Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, JAIST. So at that time, both of the research of the supervisor were quite different. So then I need to choose, because my only one application will further processed. Even the universities were different, but the government procedure for one candidate is with one passport. I think it's only one, if I'm not wrong. So then I chose one out of these two universities, and then I had an interview, and after passing the interview, I got selected. And now let's move towards what actually does MEXT Scholarship provide. Actually, it cover or it support the tuition and university fees according to the scholarship rules. It gives you the monthly stipend and allowance, and depends on the category. For example, bachelor is different, master's for different, and PhD is for different. So for that, according to, it's like, it is not what should I say? For that, I must say that it depends on the location of the university, because the amount of for master for all the master students, the MEXT scholarship monthly stipend would remain safe. That remains same. It's like even if you are living in Tokyo, even if you are living in countryside, and even if you are living to more like some countryside or some in the middle of some city, the amount is same, but the expenses depends on the location. So the amount is same for all the masters, and then for PhD, and then for bachelors. MEXT also provide the airfare ticket according to the rules and regulations from and to your home country. And if you are like um, just having the flight from other than your country, then you have to let them know. And in that case, I think they don't give you the airfare ticket. And then university placement. University placement and acceptance procedure can also consider all the MEXT rules. And the official study in Japan actually explained that how the MEXT scholarship are administered through embassy and recommendation routes. You can search that study in Japan website for further information, and then you will find about the embassy track or the university track both. And so possible expenses actually include for the people who come to Japan for the very first time. It's like initial travel related expenses or their local transportation, because MEXT provide the airfare ticket for the international one. For the domestic one, you have to cover by yourself. And then housing related issues. Yeah, some of the universities have their dormitories or the building or student housing, but some of the university doesn't have. So for that, it depends on the university or the candidate, or sometimes university are actually contacted the candidate asking about their housings. And the next is eligibility. I would like to go for the eligibility criteria, which is very important. So MEXT, if I'm talking about the MEXT, as it include all the nationals. So nationality requirement, Pakistan can be easily be present in it and categorized as a MEXT students. Currently in my universities, there are few of Pakistani students doing masters and PhD. And academic background, you need to have actually appropriate academic qualification for your attending master's or PhD program or pathway. And there, I think so, there should be some age requirement as well. So for that, because I'm not sure about that, you need to go or just see for MEXT guideline, because I think it keep on maybe changing every year. So I don't want to specify here. Sorry. And the field of study is actually depends on your previous academic background, what you have done so far, and what you want to do after coming to Japan. So for that, you need to contact the professor, make sure that your research interest and your research experience so far matches or aligns with the prospective supervisor's interest, and then you contact with the professor, and then the things actually will get more smoothly. And for the language requirement, there is no particularly language requirement, as I think every university have the English taught programs as well for international students. I'm also on English taught program. So for me, the Japanese language was not mandatory before coming to Japan. But I must say, if you know the Japanese language, then living in Japan is like heaven for you. Because language barrier, it's a lot. So after that, I think so the most important thing that comes in our mind is like how to build a strong profile. There are many students asking me, and later on at the end of the session, I will see the chat, and then we'll let you know about or we'll give you the answers of your questions. So there, to be very honest, there is no one magic formula, to be honest. So academic performance, of course, your academic performance of your bachelor's, what you have done so far, it helps a lot. But CGPA alone does not tell the entire story to the Japanese professor or to the university. You also should have some of research experience, or you have done some of your lab work, you have done some of your thesis, you have done some in your FYP, If you have publication, it will make your profile very much strong. If you attended some conference, if you have attended some workshop, if you have some experience of internship or some skill related to using, for example, any machines or something like that, depends on what kind of a STEM field candidate you are. So that actually, these are the things which make your profile strong. So strong research proposal. I must say that when you get accepted by a supervisor in Japan, then the next thing is the research proposal. The research proposal is actually the idea or the research you will do after coming back, after coming to Japan. It is not necessary that the research proposal you submit is the same you will do the work in Japan, but it's actually check your intellectual mind and critical thinking of whether can you do research after coming to Japan or not. So sometime if you send email to a professor, for example, I am pretty sure that all of you must know about the research papers. For example, if you find some university in Japan, for example, JIST, you find the department, let's suppose my department, material science. You went to the faculty, you find Professor XYZ. Now, once you open the Professor XYZ, you just see simply their research paper or Google Scholar. Google Scholar is actually the website on which you can see the researchers' paper, what they have done so far according to per year's citations and then papers. And once you click on the paper, you can easily have the PDF. Nowadays, I think mostly 80% or 70% of the papers are like freely accessed. You can easily open access to their papers. And once, for example, you read something about nanomedicine, you have done an experience of nanomedicine. So that's actually, these dots can be connected now. And then you can simply write down email. Professor, I have, like, later on, I will tell you how to write down the email. So in brief, you can simply send the email that I have done this so far. I'm interested in yours like this. I think and I believe, or I am certain that I can like be a part to learn and to contribute in your research group under the MEXT Scholarship and doing my master's or PhD or as a research student. So these are the things. Strong research proposal is very important. And then professor and lab compatibility, as I already said, that the dots should be connected. For example, if you have a background of nanomedicine and you are like seeing the laboratory and you chose the supervisor of robotics, it doesn't make any sense because the dots cannot be connected, because it's a very competitive scholarship, because it is a fully funded scholarship. So every year, every university has some quota for the international students of a particular country as well, for both master's and PhD, and also for research students. So in order to get admitted into Japanese university or to achieve this prestigious scholarship, you have to make your research profile strong, which actually make you selected. That will make you and distinguish from others. Then I think how to find a Japanese university. So I think it's very easy, as I already mentioned, that you can simply do search Google Japanese universities or study in Japan, something like that. And then you can, on the other hand, you can write down your field of research. For example, material science, Japan universities, search. And then, for example, you can have some of the laboratories. And then after getting the university, you can simply go to their universities or graduate school. Graduate school means the department as well. For example, Department of Material Science is equal to Graduate School of Material Science or Graduate School of Advanced Science and Technology. So some of the university use the word graduate school, or some of the university use the only school, or some of the university use the word department. So all of these are like same in one sense. And then after going to the graduate school, you can simply find the laboratories. Then every professor have their own personal lab website, laboratory website, in which they actually mentioned their research outline, their publications, their members, and sometimes they also write down about join us or opportunity or open positions. Sometimes professor also advertised on their group website. If that professor is very active on social media, you can also connect with that professor via LinkedIn as well. It's also a very professional approach as well. And then after getting the professor's laboratory, you can simply write down their past, like maybe 2-year, 3-year research paper. Just simply go through. I'm pretty sure that you also know how to read the research paper. So you don't need to waste so much time on the research paper. For example, after spending 1 hour, if you got to know that, oh my God, my research paper or the paper I was reading, it's not related to my research or my interest, then you have wasted your 1 hour. So I think that it's like just an information that every time when you started reading some paper after getting the title, you should read the paper's abstract and the conclusion. If that actually makes sense or makes you interested, then you should go further. Otherwise, move to the next paper. And then after that, you can simply start to write down an email. And one more thing I would suggest at this point, that don't ever choose a university only because of the ranking. Because I think that it's a very simple formula, that the more higher is the university, the more higher is the competition, the more higher is the number of people applying to, and there will be very less chance of you to get admitted, because the seats for the very high ranking university or the middle ranking university or a bit lower ranking university all have, for example, 5 MEXT quota seats. But if everybody applied to the only top ranked university, they can only consider up to 5 or 5, no matter how good you are, because competition will be very high. So for that, you have to do very smartly. You have to choose university very smartly. There's actually required a bit homework. And then for move towards, how to contact the professor. This is very important. Your email should be very clear and professional. I must say, I actually uploaded one of the posts in Scholarship Network. It's I think one of the largest network for about the scholarships internationally for especially Pakistani students. So there are many good researchers and the people who are doing research from all across the fields and from the STEM. They keep on uploading about the upcoming post and the fields and the related. So I think there is like no promo or something, but I think that group is also very useful. And after just getting to know about the professor, your email should be very written. Last time when in 2023, when I posted, trust me, one of the, for example, one Pakistani student, I'm just giving you example of one Pakistani student. He actually sent emails to 10 professors at the same time. And trust me, all the department faculty they were shocked that how we are receiving so many emails with the same general emails, having I'm sending email to someone and I'm just putting the name and just quotation of something, of some other thing. So it's very unprofessional. So your email should be very clear and professional, and it should have a very clear subject line. Subject line means that why are you sending this email? The subject line is very important, which actually, it should be catchy. For example, if someone receives your email, it should be like, okay, if the email is not catchy, then there will be very high chances that he or she will not even open your email. So your email should be very brief, from 3 to 4 paragraphs, very short, 3 to 4 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, you have to introduce yourself. For example, Actually, my bad. I should have prepared some slides so that the student will have some more easy. But it's okay. Next time, if we have session, I will try to prepare if you still need some guidance. And or if you want to ask anything, you can simply send me email. I will try my best to accommodate. So for example, dear Professor XYZ, I hope you are doing well. My name is Hunain Shahid. I am, let's suppose I have done my master and I am applying for PhD, put in a situation. So I have done my master's in material science from a Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology with a CGPA of 3.7 out of 4. I am interested, or I'm writing to express my strong interest in your laboratory at the University XYZ under MEXT Scholarship for 2027 PhD. That's the very short intro of your first paragraph. Then move towards the second paragraph. That I have a research experience in synthesizing and characterizing different nanomaterials for biomedical applications. And I have now what you have to engage him or her, why he chose you. So I have read your paper XYZ. The paper should be like the title or something, what you have found in his or her paper. I have read your paper XYZ, and I found this very interesting or very aligned with my research interest so far. I want to do this XYZ, and I am certain, or I believe that I can learn or contribute in your research under the MEXT Scholarship Program while pursuing my PhD. And then the last is like, mostly the third is like, you never sent an empty email. You should send your email by attaching your curriculum vitae, which means CV, and your academic transcripts or certificate. So in the last email, in the last paragraph, then you simply write down that, in the third paragraph, you have to write down about the research proposal, that what you want to do work in that lab. For example, I have read this paper. I am interested in bio-nanomaterials, development of bio-nanomaterial for cancer therapy in your lab under your supervision. And then that third paragraph closed. For the final paragraph, I have attached my CV and academic transcripts or certificates for review. And it would be an honor for me to be connect with you. So I'm looking forward for your positive response. Thank you for your time and consideration. And that's the ending of the fourth paragraph. And then the closing, you have to sincerely or best regards, warm regards, your name, and the very short of your address. And one more thing I forgot in the first paragraph, you have to also talk about your country. Like, I am Hunain Shahid from Pakistan. I have completed blah, 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 something like that. So for if you already have some general research proposal, which you think that it's somehow match or align with the prospective supervisor to whom you are sending email, then you can also attach the research proposal. So the must two things are CV and transcript. And if there would be very important thing that, for example, if the candidates or the students in this group or in this webinar, if they said that we still haven't graduated yet, there is still one more year or 6 months remaining. So for them, I would like to say that you should tell the professor about your expected graduation date. And in the meantime, you just make the PDF of your 6th semester transcript in one file and attach to that email. So that would be very, I think, impressive as well. So for getting admission in the Japanese university under the MEXT Scholarship, it required almost 1 year, because for the Japanese university, it actually open once in a year, which is in fall of every year. So for example, if you want to get admission in a university in Japan under MEXT 2027. So then you have to apply this year. So every university have their own deadline, but mostly the deadlines are the end of the fall. For example, it's like between September to November, September to October or November. Before that, you have to approach the supervisor or you apply via embassy. Embassy have different deadline. For that, you have to check the website. For the professors, you have to contact the professor early so that he already did not choose someone else, so that there would be my chances the professor will accept you. Then you write working. The more early you apply, the more time you have to spend on your research proposal to gain something, to learn something, to make your profile a bit stronger, and then to get admission in that particular university. So after that, I think that I have seen many different bachelor students email, and there were very several students who have sent for getting admission in Japan for master PhD. So mostly they write down, "Dear sir, I want admission in your university. Please give me acceptance letter. I want MEXT. I want MEXT." So we don't want to pretend like we are beggars. We need to predict that we are something that you need us, so that we can do research for you or learn something or to contribute something. To be very honest, professor, if he or she will saw you potential, he will never leave you away from that lab. He will always consider you. So for that, you have to make your research profiles a bit stronger. And also, I must say that don't send a generic email to every professor. If you're addressing some professor, at least before sending, just put the email, what I have done, or what I will, it like when I wrote down some email, I actually, every time I set the timer for sending email. I never send the email on the spot. I wrote down email, I attach my CV, and then I put it on the timer. For example, there's a time difference, like Japan is 4 hours ahead of Pakistan, right? So for example, 9 a.m. in the morning in Japan, it means 5 a.m. morning in Pakistan. So one day before, when I wrote down the email, I put it in the timer. That timer give you one thing, that the professor will immediately receive your email in the morning once they come to the lab. And the second thing, if you made some mistake, then you will also see that in your draft, because once you put your email in the timer, it will go to the draft having the timer set. And if you still did not attach something or wrote down the name wrong or something like that, you can still have the chance to edit it. So I would recommend you to do the same thing. Then the most important thing is that research proposal. Research proposal is actually your academic story. Like, you have to tell what's the problem you want to address, what is already known, like literature, what the people have done so far. But what will you do, which means what is the research gap and what will you find, and then how will you find in that proposal you write down. And then, as it is hypothesized, and hypothesis is actually something that you are expected, that I will do this, hopefully it will become like this. So expected outcomes. And the most important thing, will that outcome actually, or as a consequence of having some significance in scientific society or not? So the research proposal structure is always like the title. For example, same like development of bio-nanomaterial for cancer therapy, starting from a broader background, as we already know that cancer is one of the major causes of death worldwide after, I think, cardiovascular disease. And there were so many people, like I think 10 to 12 million peoples every year, they had like symptoms of cancer and they died. So both are the separate ratio of all the sex groups and same age people. And then after writing down the literature, you write down that still there are things that need to be resolved. Everybody know, I know, you guys know that you are not the person who can solve all the scientific problem or the cancer problem. It is something that you actually tried to do something in research that might be possible to give some positive outcome. That is actually yours, your idea, your thinking, your critical thinking, your mindset. And then after that, from introduction, you just simply state objective. Okay, these are my objective, I will do in my master, or for example, I will do in my PhD. Then for methodology, you explain what kind of material you want to do, and then how will you synthesize it, how will you analyze it, and then how these results or how these implementation will give the expected results. And then you also mention the timeline. For example, master in Japan is actually 2 year or 2.5 year. In Japan, if you are under MEXT Scholarship, there will be two chances, the two options. One is you are on special slot. I was on special slot. And one is the general slot. So the special slot is the meaning that you have such an outstanding, or you gave the interview, or you passed the interview with such a good criteria that you become the top of the candidates, so they selected you. For that case, your master is 2 years. For the general slot, they also have the quota other than the special slot, so they can still choose some candidate in every department or every university, I guess. So for that, the student first come as a research student for 6 months. In that 6 months, he will also receive the MEXT Scholarship. And then after passing the exam, he need to give the exam after coming to Japan, face to face. After passing that exam, he will then become a normal general master or PhD student. For PhD, it's same, 3 and 3.5. For master, 2 and 2.5. So these are the procedure for the master and for the PhD. Then I think there should be some bad mistakes you should avoid using or writing research proposal. For example, if you want to write, I want to cure cancer using nanotechnology. Seriously, I don't think so that or especially in any country, the bachelor student, we did not get so much hands-on experience, right? I also did not get so much, but we have the product knowledge. We should know our base should be strong. So for that, we need to use that. We don't need to make a very huge that I can do this, I can do that. No, just be like as simple and accurate. I can try. Because there are so many Nobel laureates and everybody and researchers worldwide. Still 2026, but we couldn't find any secure cancer treatment. If they couldn't find, how can we? How can you? So for that, I think writing too broad, it's making like you meant to say something else. And also, I think you should add research gap, that what have done so far, what is still remaining, how. Don't be unrealistic, be practical. The Japanese people, they are like very simple, and I think they like more like straightforward and honesty instead of lying and making lame excuses and trying to be over efficient. Our Pakistani students, and I think it's in our culture that we already, in terms of getting impressed, or in order to get impressed or to show off in front of someone, we did not notice then when we started like telling lies or lame excuses or becoming over efficient. And the other person who have the research experience and taking the students for a very long time, he or she on that moment, on the spot, he or she can easily judge that the other person in front of me is telling the truth or the lie. So be simple, be accurate, be practical, be honest with yourself. And also, a good proposal means you study a bit, you have a previous knowledge, then you have the research gap, you have some idea, then you can even concerned or in writing the research proposal with the professor via email. Once you start a connection and start chatting with the email with the professor, then it would be very easy. He or she definitely will help you. If he is interested in you, he wants or she wants you in your lab, he or she will definitely help you in writing the research proposal. Even sometime for the master student, they actually give the title or the topic. Okay, this is the topic. Please write down the research proposal. So these are the things professor will help. And then for the interview preparation, this is actually, for example, you send email, the first step, you got accepted by the professor, second step, you submitted the application in the university, third step, and the fourth and the most important thing is the interview preparation, which means that this is the final step in order to get enrolled in that particular university. So interview is most probably 30 to 45 minutes in which you have to make the presentation slide of your educational background, research background, what you have done so far. And the most important is your prospective research, which is related to the research proposal you wrote down. So the same research proposal you submitted, the same defense you have to do for that research proposal, which include your motivation, your academic background, your research understanding, your career goals, why you want to come to Japan, why you want to come to that particular university or particular professor. There are very few common questions that I think they ask about why Japan, why MEXT, why this university, why this professor, and what is research gap, what methodology. So these are all the questions they will ask. Why can't you conduct this research in Pakistan? Sometimes people can ask this type of question as well. So we don't need to degrade our country, but we need to give the answer in such a way that it will balance the things. As be a part of third world countries, what we are doing, why we are studying or why we want to study abroad, so that we can do later on collaborations or be a part so that we can make our country a bit more progressive, or the people or the young generation or the youth over there make a bit progressive, little by little, slowly. And then for the documents, I think for the documents, you should have your degree certificate, your transcript, and your enrollment certificate. You should have research proposal when you submitted application in the university, which I already told you how will you prepare it. For that, your professor will help you. CV. I have seen many CVs of the different undergraduate students and the graduate students. Trust me, nobody has the time to read your CV or to see your CV 3, 5, 5, 6 pages. Seriously, even the professor hears if we remove the publication, they don't have the CV of 6 pages. How could you have the CV of 6 pages? So don't be over efficient. Be honest with yourself. Be realistic. So try to only add the things in your CV which you know or what you have done so far. The truth, because on this basis, you will get accepted or rejected. So I must say that 2 or 2.5 pages CV is more than enough for a bachelor student. 2 pages are more than enough. If you add recommendations, then it can be like 2.5. If you don't add recommendations, then 2 is okay, I guess. Mostly students will make CV on Europass. It's a good platform. But the thing is that I personally observe that it takes a bit more space. Line space is a bit problem, due to which the CV become more than 2 pages. So you can also create it on PowerPoint or Word using the table. Make your CV simple, so that for any person XYZ can see your CV, he or she can easily understand what you have done so far. And then after that, if you have any certificates, you can make your profile strong. And then personal, you need passport, required forms worth of the MEXT, and a photograph, of course. Recommendation letter is also very important. Recommendation letter, you generally get it from the chairman or the dean of your university, who can write down the recommendation of yours to the chairman or university of here in Japan. And language, okay, some of the university, for example, top ranking universities, they do have the language requirements, either it's like IELTS or TOEFL or any other relevant certificates. In my case, I did not have at that time IELTS or TOEFL. So I actually got arranged my English proficiency certificate from the university registrar. And after getting attestation and all this thing, I used their certificate, in which it's written that I had completed all of my bachelor's of science in honors, and all of my degree were taught in English program, and all the rest of education was entirely in English medium. I think you can use that certificate. For that, I think you need to ask from university registrar to prepare the English proficiency certificate for you. And application deadline, as I already mentioned, it's like it takes around a year, 6 to 12 months. And before that, you need to decide the degree, you need to find professor, read paper, you need to develop proposal, prepare your CV, and contact professor. Application period is like submit form, then you submit the document, then follow the deadline, and before that deadline, you should submit that documents to the university via email, and later on by using some post or something delivery. And next, once university selected, for example, if you give the interview, you pass the interview, university actually will let you know, and then they give your name to the MEXT, and then after 2 to 3 months, MEXT final selection list will be announced, and then you got to know that you will get the MEXT scholarship, and then you have started the procedure of like visa and immigration preparation, the travel tickets, which will be actually provided by them, and then you're welcome to Japan. And also, it's like people must ask about life after arriving in Japan. It's like, why should I have been here since 2022. I completed my master from 2022 to 2024, and then I continued to from my master to PhD. And now I'm second year doctoral student in JAIST, and I will be, inshallah, expected graduated in 2027 September, fall. So student may live in university dorms or private apartments or share house or university affiliated housing. It depends on the university and the location and the city. Cost of living is also, like, as you know, depends on the city. For example, if I'm talking about the Tokyo, it's quite expensive. The other cities, they are not that expensive. It depends, because accommodation is the main huge difference. Then also food is, as alhamdulillah, everybody eat halal food here. So for that, the food cost is almost the same. And yeah, if you already, I must say 1 to 2 more things that I personally believe, that if you got it finalized by any of the professor, you got selected, you will get to know, for example, in 2027, you will notify by maybe April or May that you will come to Japan or you are selected for MEXT Master PhD, which will start from October. So try to have or get your license, driving license. It's very convenient and easy for you. That's my personal suggestion. And also one more thing, if there are some universities who offered you Japanese language course, and if you have time, you can study by yourself using online some websites or some courses. It will also benefit you. Part-time jobs, that could be also the question for many students. For part-time job for MEXT scholarship, as MEXT said, that we already giving you like such a good stipend and fully funded. So usually they don't think or they don't provide to give you the permission for the part-time job, because I have recently noticed and heard that now they put the work permit restriction for the MEXT scholars, because they said that we are giving this stipend to you to study and to do research, so just focus only for that. But for the other, they can do, I think, 28 hours per week.